All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Qudash, and double honor to the elder apostles of the great millstone that have taught me this truth, and to include the elder bishops on down, and the water Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for these men for teaching us correctly so that we can teach correctly and give them warning from the Lord. And if I didn't say to include the elder bishops on down as well, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Barakatham to all of the brethren of the household of this faith, as well as the elect whom the Lord is only concerned with anyway in these times. So let's get right into it. Exposed. Big tech demands more chemtrails to alter weather patterns and save AI data centers. Back on this topic again. As massive AI data centers devour millions of gallons of water daily, mainstream experts and officials are quietly shifting from denial to endorsements of large-scale weather modifications. The very chemtrail programs, long dismissed as conspiracy theory, AI intelligence may be transforming the economy, but it is also exposing a raw vulnerability. The enormous volumes of water required to keep server farms from overheating, evaporating cooling systems in these facilities are now straining reservoirs. Wow. Aquifers and rural water supplies across drought-prone states. Rather than slow the build-out, influential voices are turning to cloud seeding and atmospheric interventions as the solutions. University researchers in Texas have projected that AI and cloud computing facilities could consume up to 9% of state's total water by 2040. In Utah, Georgia, and other expansion hotspots, reports of sudden water losses and heightened competition with agriculture have sparked alarms. Ranchers and farmers fear their generational operations will be sacrificed so Silicon Valley can train even larger models. Cloud seeding, the disperse of silver, iodine, and other particles into the atmosphere to force rainfall, has operated for decades in states like Colorado, California, Nevada, and Texas. Once relegated to the fringes of public discussion, the technology is now being reframed as essential infrastructure for the AI age. Supporters claim increases in rainfall can refill reservoirs, recharge groundwater, and offset the industrial thirst of hyperscale data centers. What was labeled a paranoid fantasy is suddenly pragmatic policy. So if I'm reading this correctly, the water which comes from these clouds are not really, it's not real rain, is it? It's basically coming from those chemtrails instead. You know, hence you get the term cloud seeding, which is to what? To force rainfall, you know. And if those clouds are amalgamated with iodine and all of these chemicals, then what is the rain going to be made out of? Well, there you go. So the point is that what I want to really hit on is the fact that there's a reason why they're building these data centers, because where we're going with all of this is towards, again, the mark of the beast. Now I'm going to change the topic of discussion. This is where I really wanted to take this anyway. And so in this time, we have to pretty much teach the scriptures correctly and tell people what they need to hear. And that is to basically give them warning as well as we do so. All right. To give them warning from the Lord. All right. The Lord opened our eyes so that we can see His will, His counsel being played out. And so when bad things we see, we're supposed to give warning of them. All right, let's read this. Ezekiel 33 and verse 1. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coasts and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, and he blow the trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, and his blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. And just as well as you have in the book of Matthew's, 13 and verse 15, right? And you're going to have a lot of these people that are going to hear what we're saying, but they're just not going to take heed. And it's really to do with this over here. Matthew's 13 and verse 15. As I want to read, for this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. So this is what Paul was mentioning as well in the book of Romans, if I'm correct, alluding back to Jeremiah 6 and 9. And this is the reason why you have a lot of Israelites that won't listen, because there's a spiritual thing going on. And what it is that the Most High don't want them to hear the word, because they have to basically, suffer for the wrongs that they've committed in their past life, and as well as in this lifetime as well. And combined, as well as that's going to be the case anyway. They're going to die in their sins. You're going to have the multitude of our people. And this is why we should fear the Lord. This is another reason why the Lord is not to be played with, because the Lord could have had it to where we could have been this. We could have heard the word and just shoved it off our shoulders. It could have went from one end. Let me use this analogy instead. It could have went from one ear out of the other ear. All right. No matter how much you try to understand it, we just won't be able to get it, but as this is written now, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Exactly. So because we have hearkened, Lord willing, we remain in the knowledge, we will be saved out of all of these bad things, because the word that we have is the words of Yahweh Shai, which as it is written, he is the way, the truth, and the life. All right. So now in our hearts, we have Yahweh Shai, which is a beautiful thing. Okay. So we've taken heed to the warning that the men that came before us. All right. But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among you, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. Exactly. Why? Because you didn't let it be known. You didn't let it be known. So this is why when the days come, man, when the Lord, let's just put it this way, when push comes to shove, if you're on the left-hand side of the Lord, man, listen, I wouldn't want to be you, man. I would not want to swim in those waters. So that's the thing. Like, we're supposed to give warning and redeeming the times, because the days of evil, the days are evil, excuse me. Now let's read this over here. Amos 6 and 1. Woe to them that are at ease in Zion, and trust in the mountains of Samaria, which are named chief of the nations, to whom the house of Israel came. Pass ye unto Kaunah, and see, and from thence go ye to Hamath the great, then go down to Gath of the Philistines. Be they better than these kingdoms, or their borders greater than your border? Ye that put far away the evil day, here's the point, and cause the seat of violence to come near. Exactly. Because these guys are doing well. They're living large. This applies to certain men in Israel today that sold out, took the bag, and now they're living it up. And they don't even really care about the prophecies, because they're so soaked in their comfort. They lie upon beds of ivory and stretch themselves upon their couches, and eat the lambs out of the flock, and the cows out of the midst of the stall, that chant to the sound of the viols, and invent to themselves instruments of music like David, that drink wine in bowls, and anoint themselves with the chief's ointments, but they are not grieved for the affliction of Joseph. Exactly. So the prophets today that have sold out and compromised themselves, they don't care for the affliction of their people, Israel. Now, Joseph is just another way of saying Ephraim. All right. So as the scripture says, woe to them that are at ease in Zion, because there's going to be destruction coming upon them. You know, as well as it's written. If you don't give them warning from the Lord, then guess what? The man that the sword took away because of his iniquity, guess what? His blood is going to be required of your hands, because you knew what it was, but you chose not to tell him. You didn't give him the correct warning. All right. So that's why we got to teach the scriptures correctly. That's why we got to teach that, look, the book of Revelations 13 and 16, specifically that verse is referring to the chip. The mark of the beast is the chip, not anything else. So when you say it's not the chip, what are you really implying? You're implying that your congregation can take the chip because it isn't the chip. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So if you want to go that route and sell out and teach that nonsense, then guess what? You got hell coming for your ass. And again, we wouldn't want to be y'all, man. All right. Thanks be to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua that he gave us a sound mind towards his will and righteousness. That I will say, Ephesians 5 and verse 16. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. So we ain't got there's no reason for us to be circumspect, but to be circumspect, because again, the Lord opened our eyes. He gave us the word. So now we can look, now we can look around and see clearly what's being had, what's happening. Again, what's the reason for all of these data centers? Because they're going to set up a one world system, which will be chip based. And it's going to be mandatory that you have to take that chip. So we have to give warning of these things. All right. So that's all I got to say with that, man. Redeeming the times because the days are evil. Ephesians 5 and 16. Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And that's the thing that we very well have. The water Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, because now we can do what's required. Now remember, as well as it was written right in the book of Matthew 7, what did Yahweh Shai say? He said, look, was it Yahweh Shai that said that? Let me go and check it. Matthew 7. I believe he said it, right? So let's read letter. Yeah, he said it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So now let's go all the way down here and let's read verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. Exactly. So that's the point. So you can know the name of the Lord all day, every day, and call upon him, right? But if you're not doing what's required, which is of his will, then guess what? You ain't going to make it. You're going to be destroyed. All right. Now let's get into another article. Aaron Brockovich drops bombshell map exposing AI data centers, digital cage creeping across America. Renowned corporate watchdog Aaron Brockovich has launched a nationwide interactive map tracking the explosion of AI data centers and the flood of citizens' complaints pouring in from affected communities. So here we have it over here. There go your data centers over here. Data centers are appearing in rural areas near aquifers on prime farmland and often with generous tax breaks and sweetheart deals from local officials who seem more loyal to Silicon Valley lobbyists than the people who elected them. Yeah, because that's where their hearts towards. Their hearts towards the Silicon Valley individuals. All right. So your technocrats really, they really run basically America. Okay, they even run the presidency, man. That's why DJ Trump has to go along with the plan. All right. So, I mean, in order for a world which Esau has in mind, which is going to be technocratically based, you're going to have the technocrats to run everything. And they are the technocrats. This is why they call themselves that. They rule. All right. So there you go. So again, what's the point of all of this? It's because they're about to come with something. And that's something they're about to come with is that chip. All right. So again, gotta give the people warning, man. So now let's read this over here. Verse 5. His ways are always grievous, and thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. I'll be right back. Exactly. So this is what you call grievousness at best. Now this is going to make life even harder for the American people. Of course, put in the case of putting the American people into digital prisons, as I've just went into that article already, right? And just furthering more of the oppression. All right. And even these farmers as well, they're going to have a very hard time with all of these data centers and stuff, man, as I just read to you. So, yeah, oh, absolutely. They're not in the interest of the people. They're in the interest of themselves. They have a plan and they're rolling with it. They don't care. Psalms chapter 12 and also verse 5, for the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I rise, right? Save the Lord. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, this is where I wanted to read actually in Psalms chapter 10 and verse 9, right? There you go. Yeah, so anyway, let's read this over here. Psalms chapter 10 and verse 5. His ways are always grievous, and thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud under his tongue, and his mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den, and he lieth in wait to catch the poor, and he doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. And the net is going to be, again, I can't say it anymore, the mark of the beast, which is going to be their net towards this one world system. All right, so with him trying to do all of this, guess what? Again, it's going to malfunction. Because what it boils right back to, as well as I just read, is to oppress the poor even more, especially our people. Especially our people. Psalms 12 and verse 5. For the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I rise, save the Lord Yahweh. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. Exactly. So that's what's going to be had when it's all said and done. The Lord is going to rise up against them. For the sighing of the needy. We are the needy. We are considered the poor because of our economic status right now. So the Lord is going to set us in safety. And while we're set in safety, where are they ass going? Because they think and believe that the Lord has forgotten about us as well, to include. Let's not forget about that. The mindset of these devils, they think that the Lord just forgot about us because we're just so consumed in, us being persuaded and being wicked. And what they do is they, of course, as well as it's written, right, the accuser of our brethren has been cast down. That's what they do. They accuse us before the Most High and all that stuff. They do it physically and they do it spiritually too. And speaking about what I was just mentioning about, here goes the scripture right here. Yeah, he have said in his heart, the Most High have forgotten, and he hideth his face, and he will never see it. See, that's what I'm saying. Arise, O Lord, O power, lift up thine hand and forget not the humble. And it's impossible for the Lord to forget us because guess what? The Lord has to fulfill the promises that was given unto the Israelites, beginning with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That has to be fulfilled. And other things, his son died on the cross so that he can deliver us and save us physically. So it's impossible for the Lord to forget about us. All right. So now let me read this again. For the needy shall not always be forgotten, and the expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, and let no man prevail, and let the heathen be judged in thy sight, and put them in fear, O Lord Yahweh, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Exactly. And that's what the Lord is going to do. All right. So that's the point. The point is that the Lord is going to pave the way for Esau to be judged in ways that you can't even really come to grips with in your mind. All right. And he's going to have to deal with that because of the shit that he's been doing from start to finish. Excuse my language there. I just had to say that, so that's going to be paid for. And guess what? Our righteousness that we've committed unto the Lord is going to be paid for as well. And so therefore, through the righteous, the seed of the righteous and the righteous, because you have the elect out of the elect nation, we're going to bear witness to the promises, the mercies, and all of these good things. Okay? So that's all I have to say with this lesson as well. Giving all of the praise and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Akwadash. And with that, I close. Shalom.